Sound check.
It's an autumn afternoon in London, and we're talking to Stephen Poole.
This is mic number one, this is mic number one. Isn't this a lot of fun?
He's a writer.
And a lot of my work is centered on taking ideas or words and trying to figure out what kind of work they do in our culture and in our society today.
And he recently had a thought that came from someone's t-shirt.
I was on a tube train, and there was a guy sitting opposite me wearing jogging pants and a Nike t-shirt, and the Nike t-shirt said, "I'm doing work," with a little Nike swoosh. And I thought, that's weird, isn't it? Because he wasn't doing work. He was sitting on a train and he's obviously going to, go jogging or do some sports or just lounge around.
And this idea of calling a jog in the park work got him thinking.
How any kind of activity that isn't work is undervalued, and the way to say that I do value something is to call it work, even if it's not actually part of my job.
And it ended up in an article about the word productivity. On and offline, you really do hear this word all the time.
All the business literature, the business magazines, it's all about more tips to increase your productivity, how to become a super productivity wizard. If you feel your brain is burned out, here's how to get back your productivity. You might have to take an executive power nap or something. Or if you need to do exercise, you can get a treadmill desk so you can go running while you're working, and that way you'll keep up your productivity.
Life, it seems, is so much better when done efficiently. But what Stephen is saying?
It's a kind of mode of thinking that I think we should question more aggressively.
Looking back for a minute, it turns out the word has been used for quite a while, but not in this way.
Productivity used to be a word just applied to agricultural land.
Using it to measure people is a lot more recent.
This goes back to the birth of what was called scientific management in the early 20th century, Frederick Winslow Taylor.
He's the guy who's usually credited for starting to think of workers this way.
Using a stopwatch on labourers to figure out how much they were carrying and where they could put things, and he tried to figure out ways to increase the so-called productivity of the workers.
This was called Taylorism and later Fordism, and it definitely got a lot of cars built.
And we weren't just building engines, we were building a way of life.
It assumes that a person is just a machine to produce outputs. So we're treating people like machines or computers.
And this is great to measure this type of assembly line monkey work, but it doesn't actually work so well in the modern world.
A lot of the things that employers claim they find most valuable, such as creativity and independent thinking, those are the things that can't be quantified. So if you're obsessed with measuring the outputs of people in terms of their productivity, you might miss what's really important about what's going on in them.
Fast forward 100 years, and measuring productivity is now much more confusing, and so are the systems to measure it.
In order to get more things done in your life, some people say you need 43 different manila folders, and there's this very elaborate system. The ironic thing, it seems to me, is that it's piling another set of meta work on top of the set of work you already have to do.
And it also extended from work to everything.
There are cults of productivity on the internet for people to arrange their leisure time as well as their work time in the most efficient way possible. People seem obsessed with the most productive way to do bizarre and pointless things.
Get a watering can. Fail.
It seems that we've taken on board almost unconsciously this notion that getting more and more things done during the day, even if none of them is of value, is what we mean by productivity now. So it's like sheer quantity instead of doing things that are actually worthwhile or enjoyable.
But of course, it's natural to try and measure our days and see if we've done some things we wanted to. But these lists, they don't always tell you very much.
As a writer, I could bash out 5 mini blog posts a day and thereby be more productive in terms of the quantity of my writing, but that stuff would not be as good as if I took several days to write one thing and I really thought about it.
Maybe the real problem is that things that are actually meaningful are just not that easy to measure.
You don't see people saying, wait a minute, what does productivity really mean? And I think one way we can start to do that is just by using the word in a slightly different way. So if a friend asks you, what did you do today? You said, oh, well, I had a really productive day because I went for a walk in the park, and then I sat down and had a coffee and just daydreamed a bit. And then, later on I read the newspaper, and then I met a friend in the bar for a drink. It was really productive. I got a lot of things done.
And if you also think you need a break from hyper-productive thinking, good, because the next few videos of Season 1 are all about figuring out the upsides of wasting your time, with some professionals. We're going to see the advantages of doing nothing,
What would have happened had he only stayed standing, not doing anything?
enjoy the freedom of zoning out,
Everybody was saying, like, why would you do that?
and join the people who are fighting blue sky thinking.
I think a blue sky is a boring sky.
You want to hear about it?
Next up, Episode 2, The Art of Not Working.